It is midnight in a quiet convent in Italy. A young nun named Marie kneels before the altar, praying desperately in the dim candlelight. Her voice trembles as she begs the Holy Virgin for forgiveness. Then, when no one is watching, she quietly rises and tiptoes into the sleeping quarters of Mother Superior, who lies peacefully in bed. With shaking hands, Marie steals the ring of keys from the old woman's table and slips out into the hallway. Her breathing quickens as she hurries through the dark corridors and finally reaches the heavy iron gate at the convent's edge. She fumbles with the lock, but before she can open it, hooded nuns appear behind her. Their faces are hidden, and their footsteps echo on the stone floor. Terrified, Marie squeezes herself through the bars, trying to escape. One nun grabs her leg and pulls hard, breaking the bone. Marie screams in agony before losing consciousness. When she wakes up, she finds herself inside a coffin. The darkness presses in from all sides, and her cries for help fade into silence. No one comes. Sometime later, another young nun, Cecilia, arrives from America to serve at the same convent. A man named Deacon picks her up at the airport and drives her through the lonely countryside until they reach the old stone building. As soon as Cecilia steps out, Mother Superior greets her warmly in Italian, calling her beautiful, though Cecilia does not understand the words. Another nun, Isabel, is assigned to guide her to her room. Isabel seems annoyed and unfriendly, but when Mother Superior scolds her, she agrees. As they walk through the halls, Isabel explains that the convent was built on top of St. Stephen's catacombs, which are strictly off-limits. She also mentions that this place serves as a hospice where elderly nuns come to spend their final days, and that the younger sisters care for them. When they reach Cecilia's room, Isabel warns her that life here is not easy, and if she wishes to leave, now is her chance. But Cecilia insists she wants to stay. Later, while washing up, Cecilia meets another nun named Gwen, who is friendly and talkative. Gwen asks why she joined the convent, and Cecilia explains that her previous parish closed because of low attendance, and she was invited here by Father Tedeschi. Gwen laughs lightly and says that Father Tedeschi has a talent for finding lost souls and runaways, which makes Cecilia uneasy. That evening, a large ceremony is held to welcome Cecilia. She walks down the aisle with the other nuns, where she meets Father Tedeschi for the first time. He is kind and offers to translate for her, since she struggles with Italian. The ceremony is led by Cardinal Merola, who guides her through her vows and officially declares her a nun. He then extends his ring for her to kiss, which she does reluctantly. Afterward, the convent celebrates her arrival. Cecilia talks with Tedeschi, who tells her that he once studied science and biology before becoming a priest. Cecilia shares her own story how, at 12 years old, she fell into icy water and her heart stopped for 7 minutes before she was revived. She believes God saved her for a reason, though she has never understood why. That night, while in the bathroom, Cecilia hears someone crying nearby. She follows the sound and finds a nun kneeling before an altar, her face covered with a red cloth. Shocked, Cecilia moves closer, but suddenly Mother Superior appears and calmly explains that it is nothing unusual, sometimes emotions overflow. She gives Cecilia a large nail, claiming it was used during the crucifixion of Jesus, and tells her that love means suffering. As Mother Superior speaks, Cecilia grows dizzy and collapses. The next morning, she wakes in her room and sees a shadowy figure watching her. When she switches on the lamp, the figure vanishes. She convinces herself she must have imagined it, perhaps from too much wine at the celebration. Afterward, Cecilia begins her duties with Isabel and Gwen. They clean, wash, care for the elderly, and even kill chickens for food. Cecilia finds the last task difficult. One night, she wakes to see one of the old women cutting off a lock of her hair. The woman is calm, almost tender, as she leads Cecilia back to bed. Then Cecilia notices crosses branded on the woman's feet and feels a chill of fear. The next morning, while bathing, Gwen confides that she joined the convent not out of faith, but to escape an abusive relationship. She had seen the nuns as people who were safe, who had a home. Cecilia listens quietly, but soon feels sick and begins vomiting. Later, she is examined by Dr. Gallo, the convent's physician. Not long after, Mother Superior summons her to a meeting with Tedeschi, Cardinal Merola, and Dr. Gallo. They ask her personal questions, including whether she has ever been with a man. Cecilia, embarrassed, says she has not. Dr. Gallo confirms that she was examined when she arrived, and her hymen was intact. Then, to everyone's shock, an ultrasound reveals that Cecilia is pregnant. The Cardinal calls it a miracle, saying the child was conceived without sin. Tedeschi reminds her that she has long searched for the reason God saved her, and now she has found it. That evening, the convent holds a special ceremony in her honor. Cecilia is crowned with a veil, like the Virgin Mary, while the sisters sing hymns. Time passes, and she enters her second trimester. One morning, a tooth falls out while she vomits. When she goes to eat, all the nuns stand as she enters except Gwen. Mother Superior insists Cecilia stop working and focus on nourishing her baby. Gwen whispers bitterly that soon they will start calling her Mary. Later, while bathing, Cecilia is attacked by Gwen, who tries to drown her, screaming that it was supposed to be her. Other nuns rush in and pull Gwen away. Cecilia is shaken. Dr. Gallo examines her and says both she and the baby are fine. Tedeschi tells her Gwen is mentally unstable and will not hurt her again. Still, Cecilia says she wants to go to a real hospital, but Tedeschi insists hospitals are unsafe. A few days later, Cecilia sees two red-masked nuns standing silently in a window. Suddenly, someone jumps from the roof. The convent erupts in panic as Isabel, and her face is destroyed. During During the funeral, Gwen tells Cecilia that something is very wrong here. She reminds her that she is 5 months pregnant and has never seen another doctor. When Tedeschi approaches, Gwen loses control and yells for everyone to wake up. She calls out the hypocrisy of the church and accuses the leaders of evil. Deacon drags her away. That night, Cecilia sits alone in her room. A painting falls off the wall, revealing a Bible verse hidden behind it, a warning that Satan can appear as an angel of light. Uneasy, she sneaks into Mother Superior's office and opens a drawer, finding a red file with her name on it. Inside are clippings about her childhood accident and personal details she never shared. Suddenly, she hears screams and follows the sound. In a nearby room, she sees Gwen tied to a chair as a masked nun cuts out her tongue. Before Cecilia can react, an old woman covers her mouth and whispers, calling her blessed. It is the same old woman who once cut her hair. Cecilia pleads for help to escape, but the woman coldly says she will never leave this place. The next morning, Cecilia screams in agony, covered in blood. Mother Superior and Tedeschi rush to her room, believing she is miscarrying. Since Dr. Gallo is absent, they decide to take her to the hospital. But once they leave, Mother Superior finds a dead chicken by the bed, realizing Cecilia faked the bleeding. She quickly calls Tedeschi, who orders Deacon to pull over. Sensing danger, Cecilia bolts from the car and runs. When they drag her back, Mother Superior scolds her for pretending and slaps her when she shouts that God will never forgive them. Later, Cecilia is strapped to a chair. Tedeschi apologizes softly, saying he wants to show her the truth. He takes out the ancient nail and explains that scientists found traces of Jesus' DNA on it. After years of study, they used that material to attempt resurrection through genetic engineering. Then he leads her to a secret laboratory where glass jars filled with embryos line the walls. He reveals that for 20 years, they have been impregnating nuns in hopes of creating a perfect vessel for Christ's rebirth. All previous attempts fail, but Cecilia's pregnancy is progressing perfectly. Horrified, Cecilia tries to resist, but Tedeschi and Deacon hold her down and brand crosses onto her feet, just like the old woman's scars. Afterward, they lock her in a cell. She prays and cries, but no one answers. Months pass. Cecilia reaches her 3rd trimester. She confesses to Cardinal Merola, asking how long they had planned this. He refuses to answer. He tells her the prophecy says her child could be either the Savior or the Antichrist. When she asks why God does not stop them, he says nothing. Later, while the choir sings above, Dr. Gallo examines her again. He leaves to fetch medicine, and Mother Superior watches the ultrasound. The door is unlocked. Cecilia grabs a nearby object and attacks. The old woman collapses, and Cecilia keeps hitting her until she stops moving. She then flees into the hall, but her water breaks. Crawling through pain, she encounters Cardinal Merola smoking in his chamber. She strangles him with his own rosary beads. Dr. Gallo sees the scene and runs away in terror. Cecilia stumbles into Tedeschi's lab, grabs the holy nail, and sets the place on fire. Tedeschi arrives, begging her to stop, claiming killing him will change nothing. As the flames rise, he lunges for her, but she smashes a bottle over his head and locks him inside. He grabs her hair through the bars, and she drops the lighter, igniting the room. However, Tedeschi manages to find a fire extinguisher and survives, though burned. Cecilia escapes into the forbidden catacombs beneath the convent. The tunnels are dark and endless. Tedeschi follows with a lantern. She hides in a small chamber and shines her flashlight only to see Gwen's mutilated body beside her. Gasping, she flees again, her contractions growing stronger. Finally, she spots a small hole in the wall leading outside. She crawls toward freedom, but suddenly Tedeschi, burned and furious, grabs her from behind and drags her back. He begins to cut her stomach open, desperate to see the Savior. But Cecilia drives the crucifixion nail into his neck, killing him instantly. She escapes once more, climbing out into the cold night air. The woods are quiet, and she can barely move. Then the labor overtakes her. She screams and gives birth alone on the forest floor. When the baby emerges, its cries sound wrong-twisted and human. Horrified, Cecilia bites through the umbilical cord and picks up a heavy rock. Limping back toward the crying infant, she raises the stone, tears streaming down her face. A moment later, she kills it, ending the nightmare once and for all.